My name is Paige Shetler, and this is my Persuasive Advocacy speech for Communication 101. According to UCLA, quote, nearly 1 in 5 people who identify as transgender, 18%, are ages 13 to 17, end quote. This issue first becomes a concern in regards to our schools. Transgender youth are becoming more common, and few schools are taking the time to put policies in place. I am worried for the safety of my siblings and family members who are or will be in high school soon, as this issue is ever expanding. I fear that with the increasing number of transgender high school students, the teens in my life are at risk of injury. Permitting biological males to play on women's sports teams gives them an unfair advantage and endangers the biological women playing the sport. Recently, on the 4th of April, 2023, the NCAA released an article about high school athlete Peyton McNabb. McNabb is a high school volleyball player in North Carolina who was spiked in the face by a transgender athlete in a recent game. During her speech, McNabb says, quote, "I'm here for every biological female athlete behind me. My little sister, my cousins, my teammates. Allowing biological males to compete against biological females is dangerous. I may be the first to come before you with an injury, but if this doesn't pass, I won't be the last," end quote. Female athletes are speaking out against transgender women for their own protection. Female athletes are scared for their safety, and Peyton McNabb is one of many women who have been injured by biologically male athletes. The NCAA also recounted McNabb. Quote, "She added that she still struggles with the effects of her injuries, including impaired vision, partial paralysis on the right side of her body, unremitting headaches, anxiety, and depression," end quote. McNabb, like many others, will face lifelong struggles that could affect her ability to play sports in the future. Her future was stolen by a biologically male athlete who is allowed to play on a girls' team. We cannot continue to allow this to happen to young women. There is a physiological difference between the athletic capabilities of biological males and biological females. These differences threaten the safety of biological female athletes and present an unfair advantage for biological males playing women's sports. According to the National Center for Biotechnical Information, quote, "Testosterone drives anatomical and physiological sex differences in the human body. These sex differences can be architectural and therefore permanent, or can be influenced by adult-level circulating testosterone concentrations and therefore modifiable. Permanent sex differences that affect athletes involve the brain, skeletal structure, and cardiorespiratory system. Modifiable sex differences include testosterone effects on the muscle mass and strength aerobic capacity," end quote. This means that attributes such as muscle mass and strength have the possibility of being altered by a decrease in testosterone. However, other attributes, such as height, cannot be changed and are, therefore, permanent. Height may not seem like the most advantageous attribute. However, when you consider sports such as swimming, height can contribute largely to the outcome of a race. Someone who is taller than the other swimmers takes up a longer span of the pool, and therefore requires less strokes and speed and energy in order to win the race because they have a shorter distance to travel. Fox News reported in January of 2021 about an investigation done on transgender men and women in the Air Force with the goal of determining physiological differences in athletic capabilities. Physicians also tested how long it took for testosterone blockers to affect the performance of transgender athletes. As stated by the National Center for Biotechnology Information, quote, "To compete in the female division as defined by current International Olympic Committee regulations, a transgender woman athlete must agree to gender-affirming hormone therapy to lower and then maintain testosterone levels for 1 year. However, according to the findings of the physicians, this number may need to change in order to create an equal playing field for women. The physicians found that transgender males outperform females until after 2 years of testosterone-lowering medication." Fox News states that Dr. Timothy Roberts said, quote, "At 1 year, the trans women on average still have an advantage over the cis women. For the Olympic level, the elite level, I'd say 2 years is more realistic than 1 year." End quote. This means that modifiable sex differences such as muscle mass and strength cause biological men to have an advantage over female athletes for at least 2 years after testosterone blockers have been started, not to mention the many physiological advantages biological males have over women that cannot be changed by testosterone blockers. The Entertainment and Sports Programming Network reports, quote, "There is no state law that bans transgender athletes in Alaska, leaving eligibility decisions up to schools." In July 2023, the State Board of Education delayed action on a proposal that would restrict transgender girls from playing on girls' or women's sports teams across the state, end quote. ESPN adds that only one known school district has a policy in place. For this reason, it is important for you to attend school board meetings. Anyone is able to attend local school board meetings and to influence the decision of the board. In a similar way, you can attend city council meetings in your area and write letters to your local city, state, or government officials. Alabama is an example of what our state legislature should be aiming for. The Entertainment and Sports Programming Network, otherwise known as ESPN, reports that, quote, "Republican Governor Kay Ivey signed into law House Bill 391, which establishes sports categories fixed by sex in K through 12 schools and bars athletes assigned male at birth from participating in the girls category. It bars athletes assigned female at birth from participating in the boys category unless there is no comparable girls opportunity, such as football." End quote. This decision to separate sports teams based on the gender of an individual assigned at birth levels the playing field and protects biological women from the unfair advantages and dangers of male athletes. I want you to take a stand for the rights of all biologically female athletes. I want you to consider the young women who will never get the chance to shine and refine their talents because of biological men. Women who are injured playing sports against biological men and who may never recover from these injuries. You can take a stand by attending school board and city council meetings, by writing to political representatives, and by researching politicians before deciding who you are voting for in the next election.